So topic number 1, and again, guys, this is the most serious topic we're going to have today. It says, Justin Bieber files to dismiss defamation lawsuit over assault claims. And then, of course, we go over, and it says, Justin Bieber drops $20 million defamation suit against sexual assault accusers. So the first topic I just grabbed because it illustrates when this first happened, which was, he filed for I don't remember when he filed for the defamation suit, but it was a little over a year ago, I believe. That the allegations are from 2014 and 2015, and he just already is, decided to dismiss the suit, and we'll get into why. But that's a lot of money to sue defamation accusers of, and there's no names attached to it, and that was the most interesting part of it to me.
He has the money, why not?
That's basically it. It says, Justin Bieber has filed to dismiss the defamation lawsuit he had lodged against 2 anonymous women who had accused him of sexual assault. The Peaches singer, 28, asked the Los Angeles judge last Friday to dismiss the case, Rolling Stone reported on Tuesday. A source told TMZ that Bieber decided to drop the suit because he felt he had made his point and wanted to move forward. I wondered how much of this had to do with, do you think that that's a logical conclusion that he filed it just to make a point to keep people from trying to do this again in the future?
Maybe.
I think possibly. I think defamation cases are, they're really difficult to prove, and it really depends on who the players are, like the defendants and plaintiffs. There's a chance that he did this to prove a point. I mean, I wonder if so sometimes people, like especially famous people or successful people, will settle. If they get accused of something, they'll settle anyways just to
make it go away.
And that can imply to some people guilt, even if there actually isn't any.
Yep.
But because of the speed of the justice system, it's faster to settle. So in some ways, him saying no, I want this actually dismissed, and
the longer it's in the news cycle, the longer it drags out, which is worse. Also, is this like the definition of nuisance suit for them, or would that be something separate with having to do with the amount? I wonder.
I feel like it's a nuisance because right now he are you guys up to date to Justin Bieber's life right now, other than his wife having that mini stroke?
Don't ask, just go.
So basically we knew him when he was 16, when he first got famous, and then he had that weird mid-crisis breakdown where he was going insane. He had drug abuse problems, and then all of a sudden he turned his life around, going through the fate of God. And
yes, he is religious. I think his family was always religious. He just kind of found his way back to it.
Yeah. Now, I feel like this is kind of a nuisance because, it kind of makes his brand look a little bit bad because he's trying to change it up where he's a little bit more softer. Still that lovable boy we grew up loving. I don't know if you guys love him or not. I kind of liked his music, and also I'm surprised this article chose the song Peaches out of the other songs that he sang.
Out of the many other songs they could have used as their reference point. I do find it interesting when some celebrities are held to the cross, pardon that wasn't actually intentional, are crucified for these types of allegations, whereas this kind of just comes off as whatever. It's not getting the same. I can't explain it. It's literally something I can't put into words. Why some feel so targeted and some feel as if they're just reporting the news. Does that make sense?
The coverage of these
accusations? There's some people when these things happen, it feels very targeted and as if they're going after that person.
When you say people, you mean the person,
a celebrity who gets accused of something similar to this. I can't think of a good example off the top of my head, but there are endless celebrities.
I think different celebrities. I mean, just personality types. People react differently to things, and depending on what the allegations are and how. How it's being portrayed. The difficult thing about this is that both of the accusers are unnamed.
And that may play a huge role in why it's not getting the coverage, because there's no second side of the story to then go after.
And I also wonder, it's not clear to me legally what information he has received about them. So in some ways, there are, if it's anonymous people making claims for a high dollar amount, but we've talked about a couple times, when someone makes an accusation, 30 years ago, this happened to a celebrity, it's very difficult to prove, even non-celebrity cases.
This stuff was coming out. There was right after William Hurt died. Yeah. There was one actress, or it wasn't even an actress, somebody just came out on Twitter and was saying, don't forget that he had these allegations however many decades ago, and nobody could even let the man lie in peace for more than a couple of hours before it was brought up again on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of, how you said it's kind of difficult because some of them do wait for a long time, because I'm playing as devil's advocate. Maybe they're waiting for a right time to like basically say, oh, you're doing well in life, I'm taking
Well, how much better can he be doing than what he's doing right now?
Yeah,
I
or
don't
like if you were being diplomatic or sympathetic to people who are making legitimate claims, you would say like maybe they didn't feel safe or they worried about whatever.
Yeah.
This case is interesting. I think getting it to be dismissed, I wonder if it's more a point of how dedicated he is to his marriage, because it's like stuff that's happened. I don't really know how long he and Haley have been involved.
They've been married since 2018.
Right. So these accusations are from 2014 and 2015. So they're like sort of just before they got together.
Yep.
And I know he had dated her previously. Like maybe it's important to him to like really preserve his reputation in a way that at that time when he was more chaotic, it wasn't.
Well, also a weird theory, maybe like since his name is not as popular other than like what happened to his wife, they're trying to get his name out there again. So maybe they're trying to do this. I know it's
To help him?
I don't know, like this.
That's insane.
Well, just a weird theory, but I know this case has happened since 2014, 2015. So it's not the case. But
it's not that it's happened since then. It says that that it happened in them, but the accusations came much later. So it says Bieber vehemently. It says that he's suing them for $10 million each in June 2022 or in June 2020, shortly after they claimed on Twitter. So that was in 2020 that he had sexually assaulted them in the year 2014 and 2015. He vehemently denied these claims, stating in court documents at the time that there was indisputable documentary evidence that proved the accusations to be outrageous, fabricated lies. The Drew House founder also alleged in his suit that he believed the two accusers were working together to damage his reputation, or that he could potentially be one person operating multiple Twitter accounts, which, in the absence of an actual name of the accusers, is not an unreasonable theory. It's not outside the realm of possible. So it says one accuser claimed Bieber had assaulted her while he was in Austin, Texas for the South by Southwest Festival. In March 2014, the alleged incident occurred in a Four Seasons room, but Bieber alleged he never stayed at the hotel and actually had a rental property nearby with his then girlfriend Selena Gomez, which seems far more like something of his stature and financial means would do, which is just rent a property and not stay at a hotel.
Anyone could have Airbnb or VBRO is like same thing, but like I get what you mean. Like also probably his accountant can like clearly
back it
prove that like yes, we did pay for this at that time.
The second accuser claimed Bieber assaulted her in New York City in March 2015 when he was in town for the Met Gala. The entertainer's suit claimed the second accuser was a super fan who would wait outside his hotels, and that she admitted on Twitter she had never having to have met him on the date of the alleged assault. So that's not, we talked about something similar at the office today about super fans and how that can happen for specific people, certain businesses. That's not an unreasonable thing to have happen either, especially for somebody with his type of fame. So it says Bieber has been married to Haley Baldwin since 2018. Also claimed that he had gone to a private party following the Met Gala, saying in court documents that there was photo evidence. So it's also hard to believe that in like the age of, it's not like social media wasn't around in 2014. There has to be ample photo tagged evidence.
And
I am
he is
sure.
a particularly photographed celebrity.
Yes.
Celebrity.
So I don't doubt for a second that he would be somebody there would be some type of evidence of where he was at that time. Oddly enough, probably making the paparazzi his best friend, even if he didn't have photos of it, because they would have been documenting where he was at that specific time. So it's just, I do wonder if it's maybe like he wants to get it out of the news, or if he just can't go forward because there's no actual names involved there. Maybe they tried to find the names of the people that run those Twitter accounts and were able to connect it with an actual human person.
Yeah, I think what it might be is like, so there are accusations made on Twitter. They were never like then investigated or brought legally.
Exactly.
So what he's trying to do is like, I don't know if they've been removed from Twitter, but like also this way, anytime anyone Googles like, Justin Bieber allegations, this article or this kind of litigation will come up first because he is in some ways addressing it. Like you said, you said that people will reference allegations from decades before.
Yes.
Which like, again, it's
credibly accused.
It's a double-edged sword because like on the one hand, if something is legitimate, you know, we have uncovered, there are, you know, Harvey Weinstein being the clear example, like people who did weird,
really awful stuff
things.
to people.
On the other hand, Me Too culture, it has been really damaging. And it's given a lot of authority to people who might be using these kinds of narratives to benefit themselves.
There have to be an endless parade of rock stars, pop stars, and musicians who must live in abject terror every day. In the age we live in of consistent, you know, people that want consent at every step of the process, people who have changed the definition to the point where you can revoke consent the following day. That's not me saying that. That's part of culture now. In that context, there's got to be a lot of people who are living very, very scared or worried that something might come back on them for something they did years ago, where they are perceiving a different incident through different lenses, given the time and their roles in it, which is not the same thing as being attacked or being, you know, but the people who do that need to be tried and convicted and arrested for their crimes. But to do that, you have to go right away. And it does require you to suffer a certain amount of humiliation because of the rules of the justice system, which is awful.
Yeah.
But it is what has to be done if you're going to actually hold them accountable by the law, not by the court of public opinion, which can't be verified and invite skepticism from people automatically. Not because you want to be skeptical, but because we know that everybody, regardless of race, gender, any characteristic, there are people who are just bad people, no matter who they are, that will use situations to their advantage. And we can't, so we have to be duly skeptical of all accusations like that. What's the saying? Like, in the, incredible accusations require incredible evidence, something like that.
Right. Well, and like
incredible claims require.
People are innocent until proven guilty in the American justice system. And like in this dynamic of you can make an accusation on Twitter, it can live there. Like, unless you take civil action.
You look his name up now, and this is all that comes up.
Right. And so, like, in some ways, I think he is forced to deal with this in some respects. And I have to say, like, you know, who wouldn't want to be like, no, that's wrong, and I want a legal record proving that you defamed me, that you made inaccurate statements about me. Like, I want to do everything I can to try and
dissuade other people if it is untrue, if it's as he says and it's untrue,
it's not
to dissuade people from making similar claims if it didn't happen.
Right. And like, it's not like they're like, I waited outside his hotel room and he didn't give me a hug, or he like was rude and didn't take a picture with me. Like, he might not even try and like refute those, even if they're not true or whatever. Like, these things happen, but like, these are really serious allegations about violence. So I don't know.
Very serious stuff. I apologize for starting us off on such a serious note.
Just get it out of the way.
I just felt that it was worth addressing, because you could take his choice to drop the suit in different ways. Some might say that this is proof that he did this, and then his claims won't hold up in court, and so he's finally been caught and has to drop his suit.
But this way, he has like a record that he like tried.
Yeah.
And if they literally cannot figure out who this Twitter profile personality is, like, there's no way it can go anywhere, right?
The claim of it being if it is a super fan, as this person said, and there are people that go objectively crazy about celebrities like him, the idea of using a sock account or using two accounts with one person isn't crazy, isn't a conspiracy theory. It's something that regularly happens in that world.
And in some ways, like, they are, if it's just like a crazy super fan, this has never happened, like, the fact that they have gotten his attention at all is probably a win, you know?
Yeah.
I can't say how like clearly this person is thinking about it.
It's scary.
Which is scary, right?
Yeah, it's very scary.
Do you think you have a super fan?
I don't have a super fan, thank gosh.
Oh.
I don't want super fans. I don't want any. I don't want to be given that much attention. I would never want to be, held to that level of public interest or scrutiny. It's just I'd like my privacy.
Yeah,
I do. What about you? Do you want super fans?
No, because I had a person stalk me. Well, no, I had a couple people stalk me on social media before.
Guys, rough life being a girl in the year 2022.
No, what happened was because apparently so the reason why he was stalking me on my other personal accounts is because I didn't talk back to him. He was like, "You didn't talk to me. I'm lonely." And I'm like, okay. What do you want me to do?
Owe you conversation, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that like we live in a day and age of extreme interest in fame, and it's not necessarily bad, but I do think that like the people really do develop parasocial relationships
Yes.
with influencers or celebrities, especially ones that are sort of high exposure. Maybe they give you an insight into your life, and you feel entitled to that information.
Yeah.
And I've heard some psychologists say, like, yeah, everyone has a little bit of that.
Yeah.
If you're really into an actor or a athlete or something like that, like, you might like really like checking up on them. You might like keeping up their lives, but like it's for me, the risk of exposure to people that you just don't know, like, you don't know when these people are going to stop thinking logically or what their ideas of correct boundaries are. Like, it's dangerous. And I think that, I just can't imagine. It's something about like Justin Bieber's mom put him on YouTube, and then like
before really realizing where that world would go.
And I'm not saying it was a bad thing. Obviously, he's incredibly successful, but like, you just never know when this like moment of like insecurity goes away, because it's so like
there was
death by a thousand cuts.
A YouTuber named Christina Grimmie, who,
I remember
who
her.
was killed by a fan. Brought a gun to it was like an autograph.
Stabbed her, I thought.
Was it stabbed?
I
Yeah.
can't
There's
remember.
another one where
it was the day before the Pulse night shooting.
Yes.
Pulse nightclub shooting, and it was also in Florida, and it was just incredibly sad.
Yes.
And she'd been on The Voice. She'd also been on YouTube.
She was YouTube famous before she went on
YouTube, and then she went on there, and Adam Levine paid for her funeral, I remember. And it's just like, it's sort of tragic, because like, I'm sure they took all the steps they could, and she just happened to catch the eye of someone deranged.
Well, it's kind of weirder. So in Japan, they have this issue too. This one girl, she's a member from a idol group. So like, they have girl bands, but they call them idols. And basically what happened was, this guy was like her super fan. And you know what he did? So basically he stalked her on social media, but he did an extra step by zooming in the photo, looking inside her eyeballs in the photo to see where was she. And like, he tracked her down doing
like,
that.
What do you mean, like looking for reflections?
And like,
marks and stuff.
yeah, because like, like sometimes you're not taking a photo, you ask somebody to take it, and you can like see a reflection through the eyeballs.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, so like, he zoomed in, and then he tracked her down, and what happened was, I'm sorry if this is kind of like gruesome, but he found her and raped her. And I don't know if he killed her or just left her there. I forgot about that.
I mean, this is something Taylor Swift, it's one of the things that Taylor Swift's political work has been kind of interesting to me. She has done a fair amount of advocating for legislation that restricts stalking issues.
Yeah.
And she has had several very serious stalkers. I watched this, I don't remember what it was, maybe it was her documentary, but like, her concerts all have facial, like, they'll have a camera thing set up, and it'll scan people's faces to alert them if her known stalkers are there,
if they show up.
Yeah. And like, there was some story about like a guy breaking into her New York apartment and like sleeping in her bed and like touching her stuff, and like, I just, that kind of violation, obviously physical violation, rape or assault is extremely serious, but the same kind of psychological torture of knowing that like, if that person tried hard enough, they can gain access to you.
And you'll never have a good night's sleep in your life because you'll feel constantly on guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like, I think, I have known people who have had like ex-boyfriends show up at their apartments when like they had broken up, but they used to let themselves in, but it's weird. And you have to be like, that boundary is clear. Like, once you're no longer a couple, that's not okay.
Yeah.
And I think that in some ways, like, when you become a famous child star, like, you're used to a certain amount of your privacy always being compromised.
Yeah.
And it can be, it's just so dangerous.
Very, very dangerous.
Oh my gosh. Just like, make everyone stay home. Just kidding. That's obviously bad. I know that happened with COVID.
Yes.
Well, just remember, it's dangerous for both boys and girls. Like, Justin Bieber obviously had this happen to him.
Yep.
And then girls, it's just scary 24/7.
Yeah.
Guys, you have every right to be afraid too when you're walking alone at night. It does not mean that you
sure.
will not get attacked. It does not mean that something doesn't happen
Also,
to you.
like, men can have female stalkers or male
Yeah.
stalkers. Like, all of these
and you're going to
things
get a
are
lot
real.
less sympathy.
Well,
No, like-
you're expected to handle it, I think.
Yeah, you're expected to handle it.
Especially if it's like a guy with, like, let's say, like, a girl that's like been interested in her, or an ex or whatever else. It's like, well, you're
You
bigger
should be
than
flattered.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be flattered, or like, well, you're bigger than her, so like, you're not really in any danger. And like, that's not true. I cannot think of the case off the top of my head, but there was a case in Arizona where this woman like murdered her boyfriend they had like an off and on again relationship, and like he had tried to be like, yeah, she's like being weird, but like people didn't totally take it seriously because it's like, oh, she's just like your ex, like that's just the way it is. Like, no. Anyways, it's gone on a turn from sexual assault allegations to stalking.
I mean, they kind of fall.
They kind of fall along the lines because like where is the clear line that this is not okay anymore? Like, you guys need to leave them alone. They're normal human beings. I get it. You're butthurt because he's married or like he's not yours.
I wonder if a lot of it has to do with them just
because when did the allegation come out?
2020.
2020, which is like
a couple years after the marriage.
Yeah,
2 years after
the marriage. So
because this is like another problem, especially in Asia. K-pop groups, they deal with it. Like K-pop boy bands, they tell them do not date, or if you are dating, please do not disclose it on social media, because what will happen. So this happened to one of my favorite K-pop groups, Super Junior. One of their members was dating this one girl, and he posted it on social media, and all his fans found out who she was. They tracked down where she was working, where she lives, and they're like threatening her to the point where she broke up with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not hard to believe. Not hard to believe at all. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.